Hey everybody, it's Pete A. Turner from the Break It Down show, recording in advance of today's show a guy named Matt Hoy. Who the heck is Matt Hoy? Well, let me tell you, this guy has the sweet, sweet life. He's from the UK. He is a singer in the band UB40, the one with Ollie and Astro. They've just got off a summer tour, and that sweet, sweet gig has turned into him doing his own musical thing. He's got an album out that I love, and it's called Smile. You can spin it on Spotify, and I'll tell you right from the first note, you'll love it. Let me tell you who else has helped with this album. You guys all know probably that Wes Maebe, the WESONATOR, engineered UB40's most recent album. Matt saw what Wes does and said, I got to have some of that on my album. And so Matt had Wes come in and engineer his album. So you know what I'm going to do. Matt, come on the show. Matt and I got a chance to hang out pre-show here in the Orange County area. And I said, I'm going to get Wes to come on, and the three of us are going to record an episode. And that's what happens here. Hey, you guys know the deal. I want to hear from you. Produce shows with me. Tell me who the most fascinating person is around. And my job is to try to figure out how to get that person on the show. Send me your picture and say, Pete, I want to be part of the fan graphic. You guys know I'm going to be building these fan graphics out and getting the community even bigger. I want to push into more countries. I want to get you guys more exciting content. Let me know what you want to hear about and who I can go get for you. I'll continue to go get great guests, but I'm always interested in what everybody has to think. And of course, as always, do me this favor. Don't even worry about donating. Just go to SaveTheBrave.org. Take a look at the faces. You'll see what we do and how we get these guys to want to continue to live. PTS, PTSD, whatever you want to call it. As someone that has it, as someone that's been in that darkest of dark holes, let me tell you something. Having something like this, a community, someone to reach out, I think it's important, and I know you guys will at least be interested in what's going on. If you can contribute, great. But even if you just go to the website, I would appreciate that. All right, let's get on to Matt Hoy and his great album, Smile.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Matt Hoy, and this is the Break It Down show.
Matt Hoy is a friend of today's co-host, Wes Maebe. The WESONATOR is co-hosting with me. We're doing this international and live, so those guys are over there in the UK, and I'm here in Orange County. And I always say this, but I love this, man. I got to meet Wes. John and I met him at NAMM during one of Wes's talks at NAMM, talking about engineering and producing and getting the most out of talent, and that turned into us meeting Duncan Williams and now Matt Hoy, who has a pretty cool, man, you got a pretty cool day job. He tours as a singer with UB40. So, Matt, man, seriously, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for the tickets to see UB40 when they came around. I love what you're doing, and I also love your new album. It's called Touch, and you guys should check it out on Spotify if you're in the U.S. You know, it's not hard to find it. iTunes, Apple Music, all those kind of places. And you can always get Matt at Matt Hoy Official on all the social medias. And Wes is usually the WESONATOR on Facebook. And if you type in the WESONATOR, you'll find him. It might say GHQ Sonic Cuisine. Either way, Wes is always out there, so the WESONATOR. Matt, thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Absolutely pleasure, brother. Good to see you again.
Yeah. We got to hang out before one of your gigs. And it's sort of funny because, you know, you're in a professional band that's been around for decades, so you guys have touring down to a pretty good schedule. You know where to be and what you can and can't do in terms of ahead of time. Like, you're not going to get hammered with me in the bar, you know, because you got a job to do. And it was really neat to see you sort of like, this is my relaxing time, so let's just have a chat and relax. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, well, you know, the thing is, I've been with UB40, well, one fraction of UB40 with Ali and Astro for a quarter of the time that UB40 have been around, so that's 10 years now. And the downtime for me is because I'm the most boring singer, performer in the world because I don't drink, I don't smoke. So my downtime is just really me watching movies, and then occasionally when lovely people like you come along and watch Wes while he's smoking his cigar in his garden.
I've heard about Wes's garden and the tree in Wes's garden.
The tree. Oh my God, the tree. Tell them about the tree, Wes.
What, the cloud cut tree?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it was a very expensive tree that was standing in a very expensive house in London, and it got a little bit of mold on it, so the owners just were going to skip it. And we're talking about £22,000 of tree. So I just went and got it and planted it in the garden.
Mold be damned.
What kind of tree was it?
What's that?
Was it a funny tree?
No, it's just a cloud cut sort of small oak that's grown in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Wes, did you help Matt out with his album? Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from the Break It Down Show, checking in real quick to ask you this. John, Scott, and I all support Save the Brave with our time, our location, our effort, and our money. Each month, we give a small amount. Do the same with us. Go to savethebrave.org, click on the Donate tab, pick an amount that you want to come out each month, and they will handle all the rest. I stand behind these folks. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show. Did you help Matt out with his album?
I did. I had the great pleasure of mixing it.
And a very fine job too. And that's the result. What you get when you mix one of my albums. That's the result. What you just heard in the background.
The police.
Yeah, they're coming to get me.
Yeah, for sure. Hey Matt, why do you pick? Did you pick WESONATOR, and why do you do it?
I tell you why I picked Wes, mate. I was lucky enough to do one of the albums we recorded was at Rack where Wes was stationed. It was just working with him on the UB40 album, watching him work, watching him, mix and get different sounds, and just vocally for me when I was singing, that there's a certain sound I like, and he just nailed it every single time I was in the studio. So for me, when I did my album, it was a no-brainer because he kind of already knew what I wanted. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And
when you work with him versus other engineers and people trying to set up sounds, like what's the difference? I mean, everybody says this about Wes, that he's a gunslinger and he's so damn good at what he does. What is the difference?
Well, that's it. That's the key question. Who knows? But since I've worked with Wes, you never go back. You kind of been blessed with having the best. So why go back on yourself?
I'm blushing.
Well, you should blush, mate. No, you are the best, and he proved that last night. We did a show that was sold out, and the rig that was in the room wasn't the best. It was okay, but it wasn't the best. But Wes managed to get the best sound possible out of it, and he sounded great on the night. And the sound on stage was great. The sound out front was great, and that's the kind of thing he does time and time after again.
And that was with 3 channels destroyed because somebody spilled a drink on my console.
Absolutely. So yes, this is the magic we're working with.
That's awesome. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about being on the road. And Wes, when you have a question, just please jump in. But
sure.
When you're on the road with UB40, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy, but you're right. That band has been around for 40 years. So. Yeah. Holy shit. But they do have a formula, and the show is not like a high energy show. It's more like R&B sort. I mean, obviously the form is reggae, but it's a lot more like sensual, So how is it to go out and do that each night?
Yeah, you kind of, the thing with UB40 is you kind of have to plan it down to what people are going to want on the night, because they have so many hits, such a large, huge back catalogue. It's kind of tenderly picking the ones that are going to go down well. I mean, not that I pick them, Ali picks the set, but that's the task he has in hand, is picking the hits. Basically, you're always going to get the Red Wines, you're always going to get the Carnell Falling in Love, Kingston Town. Those are the big win-overs every single time, right? But Ali's trying to, obviously, because there's new albums out there, he's trying to touch in on some of the new material to feel it out, but you don't want to have too much of that because obviously people don't know it as well. But yeah, it's just a joy every time you do it, to be fair, because everybody knows the songs, everybody's there for a good time, you're relaxed, you know the drill, and I mean, you witnessed it, so you know how calm and chilled you can be,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I'm going to give you some insight on the show that you would never know otherwise because you're on to the next place. So Shaggy played on the tour with you guys, and I love Shaggy. I'm such a big Shaggy fan. But when he's hyping up the crowd, he's hyping up Irvine, right? He's like, "Where you at, Irvine? Irvine in the house," all that kind of stuff, right? But Irvine isn't cool where we're from, and no one would say, "Oh, I'm from Irvine." You know, it's not like saying, "Oh, I live in Leeds," and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we know what that's like." Irvine is very Asian, very corporate, lots of big brands like Old Navy, those kind of stores, and a lot of high end things. So nothing about like you. The last thing you want to say is, "Come on, Irvine, let's get sexy," because it just doesn't make any sense, right?
You say this like it's a bad thing.
It's not cool, but like you could say, "Hey OC, hey Orange County," and it's such a congested. There's 3 million people in the county that we all live in, right? So you're talking to a lot of people, and so it's kind of funny. And I know you guys don't care, and it's not really your guys' show to hype the crowd and do that kind of thing. Do you ever collect these kind of little nuggets? Like, hey, when we play, Red Rocks out in Colorado, we're going to say more of these things or sing these songs. Do you get a sense for who the audience is before you ever get there?
You always get a sense. I tell you what, an audience in itself is like one being. If you can imagine that, you kind of get a resonance from an audience, and there's not so many kind of. It's more. I tell you what, it is more of. It's the fact that you kind of, when we did Red Rocks, it was so cold. It was so cold, and when we got to more or less the end of the show, we did "Can't Help Falling in Love," and as I was at the front of the stage, I kind of waved my arms to get the crowd going and get them singing along, but it just started to snow. And you could see these people freezing to death with red noses, trying to get involved, but it just wasn't happening. Do you know what I mean? Because it was that cold. So it's little things like that that kind of put a bit of a spanner in the works. But every show is, for want of a better word, it's kind of like Groundhog Day because you're in a set mode and you have a set routine and it's always the same. Once you're on that stage, it always looks the same and the audience always looks the same. So you kind of have to do the same thing to get the audience going. Some peak where others wouldn't and vice versa,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then how many songs really rotate on? And like you said, there's so many hits. I thought of 4 of them, and then you said 4 totally different ones. I mean, there's so many of them. How many songs are there to play with to introduce things or to do a deep track or just to change it up?
Well, you got to think there's like 4 Labour of Love albums, so they're the cover albums. And then in total, I mean, UB40 have done nearly 30 albums. So, I mean, even I don't know how many hits there are there, you know what I mean? But you always kind of go for the ones that are the big, big sellers, like the Kingston Town and the Red Red Wine and Can't Help Falling in Love, Here I Am. Those are the ones that normally set the fire alight, to, for want of a better word.
And then how often is there an audible mid-show where he's like, forget that, I know where we're going here. How often do you guys have something like that?
Not very often.
Okay.
Not very often. It's each show, I'll tell you, it's hard to explain unless you've done it. You can't really explain it. It's like performing to one single being differently every performance. And so, where some would react to it more than others, it changes the next night. It's so strange.
Wes, what's your question for Matt?
I'm still thinking, really.
He's still stroking the tree.
No, I'm in a different garden at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. I've just stepped outside from fixing a mixing console.
Oh, right, okay.
Nice.
Not the one we blew up yesterday.
Well, here's a question for Wes. How did you find the gig last night, sound-wise? Was it challenging?
It was. It was challenging. It's one of my pet peeves. Is where smaller venues sort of expect you to mix monitors from front of house.
Yeah.
Right, because it's basically down to money. You know, if you have to put in an extra monitor console, you have to have another human being there. So it makes it cheaper, but it means that I don't have a connection with you guys because I'm not next to the stage. So it's difficult for you, you know, when you go, you know, probably towards the end of the show, because you've been standing in front of a drummer who's wailing away, your hearing's going to go down. So you want your levels to go up. Yeah. There's no way for you to easily go, hey, you know, can you just ramp it up? Unless you go over the mic live in front of everybody and say, can you bring me up? So that's annoying. I also don't have as much control from front of house as you would have on a separate monitor console. So that's always a worry for me, which kind of detracts a little bit from what I should be doing, which is mixing front of house. Luckily, I think we got there last night, so I could focus on everything out front and make sure that everything was bouncing. And you know, when I start jumping around, Gjorgjiev, the backing singer, was telling me, he's like, "I saw you hopping around," and that's when it's happening because I'm
always
having
a good
fun
sign for me.
So, you know, if I'm having fun, probably everybody else is having fun. I hope. So
no, I mean, that's a good point, though.
Yeah.
Wes, because when I know when I'm enjoying a show, I trust that the audience is enjoying it too, because they're my friends. They're people that like the things I like. So I think it's it's a good measure.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, the feedback last night was really good. So that's always, I mean, it doesn't matter if I thought it was good. It needs to come from the audience. If they think it was good, that's all that matters.
You kind of get a feeling though, that you when you know yourself, you kind of, when you feel that, you kind of know that they're going to feel the same vibe as well. Sure
thing.
Hey,
but
you have a touring season. I mean, Ollie's not trying to kill himself by being out on the road for 5 years in a row. What's touring like? How much time do you get in between? And I guess if you'll answer it, and you don't have to, but can you make ends meet with this one job, or do you need to find? Like, I've got a buddy that works. He works backstage management for the Eagles, right? Like, he does a lot of work, and when they're out, money's not a problem. But when he comes home, he's got to make ends meet.
That's exactly it. Yeah, there's no way I could survive purely on just UB40 touring alone. We have to find some of the means to keep things moving. Mm-hmm. But touring in itself, the downtime, it's potluck. It's absolutely potluck. The way the dates are booked, we could get 2 or 3 days off in a row, or we could just be doing a venue and then we'd be on the bus overnight to the next state, to the next city, and it could be like that for the whole week. And then we could be flying, and then we could be in hotels for 2 days, and then we could sleep on the bus for 3 days, and that's how it rolls. You know, nothing is set out. So the next tour we do could be completely different. We have no buses and we fly everywhere. So, you know, you never know.
Picking up on that, what's your preferred method of transport when you're on the road?
The bus, every time.
Yeah, me too.
Every time. Because
Why?
The bus becomes your own little home.
So it's not like a bus. You have like your own little room and everything then, right? Or no?
Well, it's not like but there's 2 living rooms, there's a shower, there's a toilet, there's, you know, ample bed space, but we have TV, satellite, you know, everything you could want. But the thing with it, I hate flying, and it's not so much it's not the flying itself, it's I hate going through security, I hate waiting for baggage, I hate queuing for the plane, I hate all that stuff. I hate. So if I get the option of going on the bus, I've got my own little space. Even if it takes longer, if I want to snack on food, I can. If I want to go to the toilet, I can. If I want to sleep, I can. That's my preferred transport mode. And any time will be the bus.
What about you, Wes? Why do you like the bus over the plane?
Same reasons. I mean, the whole shebang of going through security is just a major hassle. But just on the bus, I mean, you're all hanging out. You can chat about stuff. You can go and have a little sleep. Most of the time, I end up sitting next to the driver because I end up seeing the landscape, and those guys have to do some pretty grueling hours as well. Even if you have 2 drivers, it's just nice to sit next to them and have a chat. So it's like being on a road trip with your buddy.
It is.
Wes, do you want to be in studio more, like at home, or do you like to be on the road more?
I want it to be an kind of an equal split. I love
Okay.
being on the road, and I love doing front of house stuff because it's a completely different headspace. There's a different level of adrenaline involved. So, you know, a nice split of the skills is always fun.
So, Matt, talk about the album because so the first thing I noticed when I listened to it, first off, it's excellent, and I don't know a lot about engineering, but I do listen to a lot of music, and now because of what I do, I hear a lot more things. And first off, Wes, holy shit, man, you really put a great album together in terms of all of the sonic things that you do. And then Matt, holy shit, man, you put together a great album. I will listen to this thing all the time now. Like it's in my steady rotation. So even if it's just me, you got me sold. I'm glad to listen to your music.
Oh, bless you, man. Thank you. That's really kind of you. Yeah, I mean, two sides of it. The album itself, for me, is, in a sense, it's like a diary. And every single song on there is basically a page from a diary. So there's songs on there about my mother who's passed. There's songs on there about people I've known, ex-relationships, current relationships, people I know that are going through problems. And basically, people, the main track that I've released at the minute called Happy is my kind of, not attack, but conscious effort to talk about people with mental health. That's the main thing for me, because there's so much going on in the world today and so many people out there with mental health issues. I don't think it's being clearly addressed at the moment. But on the other side of the album, then we have the mixing side. That's where me and Wes got together, and I kind of had an idea of how I wanted it to sound, more vocally than anything. And then Wes just did his magic, and then he just sent me mixes and go, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And there was hardly anything for me to really change, because he kind of, we just talked, and he knew what I wanted, and he got it.
Wes, how do you do that?
Yes, how do you do that?
That's my little secret. I don't know. I mean, you know, with everything, you just listen to the bare bones of it, and you get a feel for what the underlying vibe has to be, I think. You know, and you mentioned it earlier, Pete. You know, it's like you immediately went, he's got a George Michael thing going on.
Yeah.
And it's like I got that immediately, and it was like, okay, well, this has got to be, you know, it's got to live in that realm. It's got to be lush. It's got to be big and spacious. So that's sort of how you start building the mix. You know, just grabbing hold of those ingredients and going for it. And with Matt, it's, you know, it's obviously the voice is the main instrument, so that's where everything has to fit around him, basically. Yeah,
Matt, let's talk about your voice, your instrument. Your voice is, there's a lot of different ways to sing songs. Tom Waits, totally different than what you do. But also, we got a guy coming up on the show. You guys have probably heard of him, David Best. He's from that sound. He's from that band, Yoshi, and I can never remember the last part of it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Very
no,
electronica. No. He's English, and he
Okay.
primarily just kind of whispers. Like the music is like hypnotic, and it's super catchy. But he whisper sings the whole time, and he never meant to be the lead singer. It was just like, let's lay down a useful track and work from there, and we'll figure it out. And then he just kept singing, and he kept being the guy. And it just, you know, there's so many ways to do it. When did you know your voice was special?
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
Yeah.
I won't say special. I'll say when I realised that I could sing and hold a note. Was when I was listening to records when I was 3 years old, just jamming along because I just love music so much. And it was in the confines of my own bedroom when I was about 9 or 10. I decided to let rip properly with a track and just sing along with it and see what happened. And yeah, it was from that point on, and I kind of just got hooked on the pop star thing. then, and developed my voice over the years. And then when I was about 18, I went and had a few singing lessons and developed it from there. But I've never really classed myself as an exceptional singer. I just love singing. That's the main thing. I enjoy it. It makes me happy.
If it makes you happy, why the hell are you so sad? No, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a good title for a good song.
As we're stroking egos right now, I just want to point out that on this record, technically, there is not a single note of tuning going on.
What?
Nothing has been touched in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and the same with, you know, with all the backing vocals we did for UB40, nothing was touched at all. And I mean, whoever taught you, Matt, fuck me. I mean, they gave you a range that is just ridiculous.
Oh, bless you, man. Bless you.
I mean,
I'm blushing now. I hate this. I'm getting uncomfortable now.
How rare is that? Let's make Matt more uncomfortable. How rare is that, Wes, to have someone that powerful?
It is pretty rare these days. I mean, you know, I think, you know, with all the progress of technology and stuff, some people have gotten quite lazy, to be honest. And that's not just singing. I mean, that's playing as well, you know. So many times you'll get, oh, yeah, you know, you can fix that in Pro Tools, right? And it's like, yes, I can, but wouldn't it be cooler for you in 30 years' time, you listen to your own record and you go, you know what, I did that. That's stunning. So usually I just send them back in. It's like, sing it again, sing it properly.
No, that actually, picking up on what Wes has just said there, that is one of his qualities in the studio, because any artist or any singer can be lazy in a studio situation. And the point you made about the Pro Tools things is very relevant, because every singer does do that nowadays because it's so easy to do. But Wes doesn't let you do that. So that's the good thing about Wes. He makes you go in and do it again and do it again. So
yeah, but it's not like crazy again and again. I mean, it's usually like 3 or 4 times and you nail it.
I think it's a confidence thing in the studio.
Yeah, of course. Well, maybe part of my job is just to make sure that you are confident.
Yeah,
and that you feel safe in quite an intimidating environment.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
The George Michael compliment, I definitely, like Wes said, you can hear it instantly. Is that by design?
It's not by design. I would think that is genuinely because George Michael is my hero. So musically growing up, he is my biggest influence. So anything I write or sing, I don't purposefully try and sound or write like him. It just naturally comes out in my makeup. I can't help it. That's my influence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can, when I know it now, because obviously when you're singing, you know, back up behind Ali, like you can't necessarily hear your voice, like as you're blending in and singing something. But the moment you play that record, it's like, oh yeah, George Michael. And then you kind of have a George Michael effect with like how you dress and how your style. You know, you're very George Michael-like.
Oh wow, okay.
Busted.
Yeah, I mean the thing. Go on, Wes. Help me out, man.
No, this is you, man.
Okay. Go back to the backing vocal thing. I think the thing with Ali is it's not my job to be in competition with Ali, not whatsoever. My job is to do exactly that, blend in
right
with Ali. Luckily enough, we both come from the same area in England, and we've both got a very similar accent. So my job is to sound neutral and not give me my performance as me. It's to just hit the notes and back him up. So that's why people don't always hear me, because if they don't hear me, then I know I'm doing my job. If I drop out and they miss something, then I know I'm doing my job. But the whole prime thing is to just make that sound, his vocal, bigger than he actually is without being, you know, in the spotlight, basically.
I mean, what was that? Was that the main reason that you were chosen to be the backing singer because of the? Wow, sorry about that.
That's all right.
because of the Brummie accent. So you would blend in 100% with Ali.
I think it may have been Ali's decision, yeah, because there was
Right.
other guys from London that did the backing vocals before me, and it didn't. It sounded okay, but it didn't quite gel as well, I don't think. So
Because
yeah,
it's definitely
maybe
a specific way of pronouncing words, isn't
Well, Ali tends to drop his A's a lot, so that's an accent thing. So definitely from that side of the fence, that's a guarantee. Yeah, it's definitely the.
Well, what if you're singing with the band? Like, let's say you go out with the Squeeze, and they're singing in that goofy Cockney style. And I'm saying Cockney because I don't know the difference, but I think it's kind of a Cockney thing, But it's totally different. Like, I don't know, Cool for Cats. That's some really heavy accented English singing right there.
Yeah, well, you it's all about if you learn a song, it's the same as a bass player learning, the parts in the song as well. You kind of pick up where it goes up and down and round and the accents on things, and you just that's what you learn. That's your job. You have to do that kind of thing.
It's a cool job. Is it what you want to do for the next 20 years?
God, well, do you know what? I haven't even thought about it. I don't think I could do anything else, Pete. I've been doing this for so long. I've done it all my life. The only thing I know how to do is sing and perform on the stage and write songs. That's all I know how to do. I'll probably be a taxi driver because the only other trade I've got is driving.
Well, okay, let me tighten that question in. Do you want to do this for the next 20 years with UB40?
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here, and if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
Do you want to do this for the next 20 years with UB40?
No, because UB40 has a lifespan, and at the minute it's brilliant, it's great, but nothing lasts forever. So you have to have a bigger plan. You have to have a bigger picture to work to. I've always loved and enjoyed writing and singing my own music. This is why I do it, and luckily being a part of Ali and Astro's band has given me the opportunity to maybe do more with my own material than I would have done before. And I'm eternally grateful for that, And it's given me the opportunity to work with people like Wes as well that can pull stuff out of my music that even I didn't know was there.
I love that. I love people that make, your like someone else's art better. I mean, we can't have enough of those kind of people in our lives, right? That take something and they help make us more special than we even realized we could be. That's fantastic.
Well, that's the main thing. I mean, when I write a song, I have an idea in mind of where I want it to go, and when it's done, when I give it to Wes, and then he hears a whole bigger realm of what is possible with this track, and then he goes, "Well, have you tried this? What do you think about doing that with your voice? Maybe putting a delay on that, or anything like that." It's like, oh, okay, let's try. Let's see what you got to try everything. If you don't try it, you never know. That's the whole thing with music. It's all experimental. You have to try these things. That's how the greatest albums in the world happen. Bohemian Rhapsody, Pink Floyd, The Wall, all those kind of people, they took a risk and they took a gamble and they just experimented in the studio. None of that was planned. You know what I mean? Nobody's that good. The Beatles weren't that good.
Yeah. And then sometimes it takes someone else trying something with the work that you give them. I mean, isn't Red Wine a hit because a DJ's like, hey, this backside's pretty good, and started because like it had already come out and wasn't a hit, and then it was sort of quote unquote discovered by. Isn't that the story with that song?
Do you know? I don't really know the whole. I know that Red Wine was released twice. It was released once, and it went to number one in England, in the UK, and then I think it went to number one in the US. I think it was 7 years later, 6 or 7 years later. So there's a big time span there. But yeah, I mean, obviously Neil Diamond had it out before UB40, but didn't really. I think it was a B-side on one of his singles. But he does the UB40 version himself now, and he does Astro's rap at the end, which is hilarious.
Did you ever think you'd be in a band with a guy named Astro?
Astro's cool, man. Astro is really cool. He got his name from back in the 80s. There used to be a pair of sneakers, or trainers as we call them out here. They were like moon boots, and they were called Astro boots, and a lot of the punks used to wear them. So that's where he got his nickname, Astro.
Hilarious.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he got it from. And there's a coffee shop in New York called Astro's now as well. So he's getting about a bit.
That's fantastic. So if the other guys from UB40, do they tour as UB40, or do they all share the name, or how does that work? Do you know?
Yeah, they still tour as UB40. They are still UB40. You know, it's there's two UB40s. There's Ali's and there's theirs.
Yeah.
It depends on how people see what they, you know, how they envisage what they want. People like Ali's version, people like their version, but they're still out doing their thing. You know, I think they have Ali's brother up front now. But yeah, they were in America the same time as us, doing shows. So I don't know how big their shows were, or whether ours were bigger or theirs were bigger. I don't know. But yeah, they're still out working. They've got to work. You've got to think these guys have done it for 40 years. It's the same as me. They don't know anything else but music. So what else are they going to do? They've got to earn a living. How
was your release party?
Oh, mate, it's always one of them nights where I was nervous about how people were going to take the music more than anything. And because of the covers that I picked to go with the originals, whether they would sit and fit well and whether people will have a good time. But I was absolutely overwhelmed with the whole evening. It was better than I expected, a lot better. The crowd, the audience were so responsive from beginning to end. Everybody had a great time. Everybody was so kind and lovely. And the messages I've received today, the day after, are just beyond my wildest dreams. It's just
fantastic.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I think the main question is: album is launched, album is out. Is the video live yet?
I don't think so. No, I haven't. Well, I'll be brutal on you. I haven't checked, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be. It'll be this week for definite.
Next couple of days.
Yeah.
So the main question is, what's next?
What's next? Well, I've already started writing the next album because I played one last night, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
What did you think of that, Wes?
Oh, it's wicked. Can't wait for it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. That's a good sign. I think it's just a progression of what I'm doing now. He's taking it even further, and
yeah,
the longer me and Wes have been working together as well, it's knowing each other as musicians. He will know what to pull out of me even more now. You know what I mean, and what to do sonically and musically and sound wise and mix wise. It'll be even better the next album. I can't see why it wouldn't be.
I love it. What's the subject of this new album coming out? If the last one was a diary.
The subject of the next album is going to be more to do with the world itself and what's going on, really. I mean, I'm touching on it with Happy, with the mental health. Well, it's not. It is mental health, and it's touching on the multicultural side of things and the LGBT thing and everything it touches on. But the new one it's more to do with the environment. I've just written a song called Blue and Green, which you can kind of envisage for yourself what that's about. But yeah, the environment and the way people are, the way we are with each other, it needs to change. Priorities need to change.
Yeah, yeah. How are you all getting along out there in the UK? I mean, out here in the US, we're all pretty pissed off at each other. You know, we're getting further and further away, it seems like. How are you guys handling all this stress with Brexit and the climate and all those things?
To be brutally honest with you, it's getting to the point where it's a bit of a joke out here as well as the way it is in the US. You know, we've got Donald Trump Mark II out here. It's just, you know, it seems to be, you know, you wear an odd-fitting suit and have a stupid haircut, and anybody can get into power these days.
So you're not politically inclined because you wear a black T-shirt and have a neatly trimmed beard every day.
That's right. That's exactly right, Pete.
Oh,
no,
man.
I don't tend to get political, mate, because if I wanted to get political, I'd have become a politician.
Yeah.
Leave that to them. Do you know what I mean? All these people that go on their soapboxes and start getting all we need to do that. You know, you can do that through the medium of song. You can give your opinion, but when people start standing in the boxes and start, we need to, I'm not into all that, mate.
Do you feel like we're in an era where political, like bigger bands tend to not get political? I mean, yeah, some rappers get into, community stuff, but when I start to think of bands that really make powerful political statements, it's really hard to think of bands that do that.
Well, no, because that was more of an 80s thing. That's when, especially in Britain during the Thatcher era, the political side of music here, that was when it was king. You know what I mean? Nowadays, people are not so bothered, and I kind of think they take that angle that I'm taking, leave it to the politicians, and then if they screw it up, then it's their fault, not ours. We can have an opinion,
right?
But don't get involved, really.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, Pete, because some people say you're in a position where you have a voice, so why not help? But I have a voice because I'm a musician and I write songs. That's my voice,
right?
Not to give political opinions.
How do you feel your song well? Like when you're like, I need to write some stuff. Is it already there? What do you do to give yourself ideas?
God. Well, it was easy with the current album because, like I said, though, it was like a diary. So I kind of had a list of things I wanted to cover. I've been trying to write a song about my mother who passed away 20 years ago for the last 20 years. And I've written about 4 or 5, but none of them have ever really hit the grade. So this was the first time I actually got onto paper and then onto audio what I actually wanted to say, and that's track 6, Sharing Moments. And it's going to sound so corny, but I actually wrote it when I was in Hawaii, in Maui, and I was sat on my balcony just looking out over this view of the sun setting in Maui, and it just all started coming into my head, the lyrics, everything, and it was sitting on the top of a mountain sharing moments with you. And that's how it all started.
That's wonderful. I love the stories of when the song just pours out and then it becomes something really special.
Well, it took literally 5 minutes to write them. It's taken me 20 years to get there, but it took 5 minutes to put on paper.
Right. Like, I think Paul Weller talked about writing That's Entertainment. He's like, the idea hit and all he could do was write. And the song was done in an instant. You know?
Oh, you definitely get into those modes because I'm not the biggest fan of sitting down and going, right, I'm going to write a song now. When you get that, it's like a mode you get in and it just pours out. And sometimes you can be writing 2 songs at the same time because you'll think of a line and you'll think, well, that's a really great line, but it's not going to fit with the song that I'm writing at the minute. So I'll save that one for another song. And then they kind of combine together and you end up writing 2 songs.
I just remember David Best's band is called Fujiya and Miyagi, not the other crap.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like something I ordered in the Japanese restaurant 2 nights ago.
Do you want to join us for veg and sausages? He's fine.
Was that my takeaway, Wes?
Yeah, it was. I just had a question.
What's your question?
Oh, my question was, do you start with lyrics or do you start with a melody in your head?
It could be both ways, honestly.
Right.
It could be both. I've been working with Grant, obviously Grantley's been working on the production with me and he can give me a basic drum and bass rhythm. And I tend to go over to his and he has loads of them and I just sit and listen to some and then there'll be the one that just sparks and you go, yeah, that's the one. And then I can just go away. And then it's about thinking of the idea of the theme and what you want to write about. But they just tend to like fall into place from that point on.
And then is it always the same way? Like, is it, or does it ever like, I don't know, do you get him in, some people get him in during dreams or in a jam session, something will come out and they do something with that. Is there any other way that you get songs at all?
I've never been that lucky to remember anything that I've done in a dream because as soon as I wake up, it's gone. It's gone. I've had some wonderful dreams with wonderful ideas, but as soon as I wake up, they're gone. No, for me, it's hard work. It's hard work. Like I said, sometimes they can fall out, but when I sit down, I'm not like Sting or people like that where they're just so gifted at writing lyrics. It's embarrassing. God, they're so good. But yes, I suppose they're like children. They're different every single time. They really are. And sometimes you can be writing something and you think, God, this is just shite. but then somebody will read it and they'll go, wow, that's amazing. And you go, really? So everybody has their own interpretation of what you write anyway. So it's, at the end of the day, when you put stuff out, it's pot luck anyway. So I've just been lucky this time.
And then Wes, when you're sitting there and you're reading something and you're like, God, this is shite. And you know, Matt's in love with it. He's like, I wrote this about my fucking wife. You know, it's about my mom. She's dead. And you're like, it's shite. How do you handle that? I mean, you got to be honest.
Yeah, of course you have to be honest.
He's done it.
Okay, tell me about that.
No, he hasn't really. I'm only joking.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't remember that bit.
No.
Well,
No,
you know, I mean, yeah.
Go on, Wes.
You're always walking that tightrope because we're all quite sensitive little buttons. You know, we're in a creative industry, so it's all to do with tugging at the heartstrings. You know, whether you're writing the lyrics, whether you're writing the music, or whether you're mixing it. You know, like Matt said, they are your children, and when I'm done with a mix, that is, you know, that's my baby, and you have a very close affinity to it. So I think, you know, when you're working in such close proximity and dealing with so many feelings, you have to be in a position where you can go, hey, you know what, you know, that comes across a bit cheesy. Do you think we could maybe work on that? See if we can develop it and make it even more poignant, you know, rather than just saying that's shit.
No, for real, yeah. For real. I'll tell you the weirdest experience I had with this, because it's my first album, that I've been sitting on these songs for like 2 years after Wes has mixed them. So they're my songs, and I cannot wait to get them out there, basically, for people to hear. But the night before it was due to be released, I was having like a bit of a meltdown, because we're going back to what Wes and I said about them being your children. I just thought, well, everybody's going to have these now. Everybody can listen to them. They're no longer mine. Do you know what I mean? It was like setting them free. You know what I mean? I was like, no, I've got to keep hold of them. It was a weird feeling.
yeah. I mean, look, as a podcast guy, you know, I put out a show 5 days a week. And at some point, those kids, whether they got their hair combed or not, they're going out the door.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, it comes back like, hey, you didn't ever combed your kid's hair. And you're like, you know what? There's another kid coming out in 5 minutes. And it's not that you don't care about, like in my work, it's not that I don't care about perfection, but production is more important. It's more important to get a show out that people can experience and get out the door. Because, man, if you look for, with what I do, if you wait for perfection, it's just never going to happen. I suppose you guys have an element of that, but your bar is higher, though, right? For what perfection might be.
I think perfection is still based on luck at the end of the day, because what is perfection? You know, it's, you have your own ideas and your own capabilities and your own artistry, but at the end of the day, once you put it out there, it's luck whether people like it or not.
It is, and also, you know, you can work on something and you can work it to death, and to that point of diminishing returns where you actually start regressing.
Yeah,
you know, where you think, oh, you know, the hi-hat needs to be like half a dB higher. It's like, is that going to sell more records? Of course it fucking won't.
Right.
So, you know, there has to be a point where you say, stop, this is wicked. You know, we listened through it. It sounds amazing. Let's put it out there, and you know, let's hope people are going to dig it and keep going. Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Let's put the energy into new material.
Yeah, it's all about not going internal, I think. That's the...
Exactly, yeah.
So let me ask you guys this, because you both have worked with UB40. Here's a band with way over a dozen hits, and they continue to put new albums out. Erasure, the same thing. I was surprised as shit to hear there were 15 Erasure albums. But look, every album has at least one song that hits. They're just so goddamn good, you know, and they've been doing it forever. When you've got a band like that in studio and you guys are working together, are they better than ever at writing songs? Have they just mastered their formula? Does anybody care? Do they just do it to create more music, to create more buzz, to have a reason to go tour? I mean, at some point, 40 years, over a dozen albums, you know, you've passed the point of the mega hits. but you still need to do things. What can you guys help me sort that out?
I mean, for me, I'm not involved in the writing process with UB40's music at all. From an outsider looking in, it's a hard question to answer because Ali and Astro have been away from the other guys for 10 years.
Right.
And all the massive hits that we're talking about, they were all written as a unit for the 8 guys together. Each one would have their own individual role to do. Now there's 6 in one and 2 in another. It's hard to address the writing situation. I don't know how Ali and Astro write together. I know they do write together. The album Silhouette they wrote, which was great. But I don't know their method now. I don't know how they would approach it because obviously there's going to be factors of the writing machine missing now. So I don't know how they would get around that. And the same for the other UB40. Obviously, Ali and Astro had their roles with their music, and that's missing for them. So it's an awkward one to answer now. I don't think they go for the hits because the band's been going too long. Only relevant bands nowadays have hits. The current bands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big bands like UB40 have followings, not hits. I think they just address writing good music.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, same. I can't comment on the writing, but you know, you can only hope that they're forging a new chemistry or a different chemistry in their new format. But apart from that, I mean, a lot of people depend on this huge machine.
Yeah.
So you know, that's got to be one of the reasons that you keep going. Plus, you know, it's the thing that you do. You know, otherwise, you'd like Matt said, he'd be a taxi driver. You know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, the thing is, obviously, Ali and Astro, in their own right, are talented songwriters and performers themselves. And that's why they've carried on for 10 years doing what they do. And in the studio, I'm sure they do the same thing because every record that they've produced that I've been on has been, you know, I mean, the last album went to number 2 in the UK album chart. So they've got to be doing something right.
Yeah. Well, everybody should go check out Matt Hoy Official. His album is available on Spotify. It's on iTunes. Do a favor to Matt. Buy the album. I mean, it's, I don't know, $10, $15, whatever it is. Spend some money so that we can keep Matt out of the cab. but
yeah,
also
please.
spend it because the album's fucking good. I mean, look, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. I know you're not going to come out to Orange County to tour, but if you do play the 5 points, don't reference Irvine. And just know that I'll be spinning this thing, man. I love it. I think it's a great album, and I can't wait to hear. If nothing else, please do more. You know.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, man. That's really kind of you. That's really nice. Thank you.
Wes, anything in closing?
Anything in closing? What? Yeah,
Mutton?
let's go and play Irvine.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do it. Do a one-off.
Let's just do it. A one-off Irvine.